The words that the Chief Justice used against us have never been used in our courts, even in the dark days of single-party rule and state capture of the judiciary. Chief Justice Martha Koome described our case, presented by the country's finest legal minds, as no more than hot air, a wild goose chase, incredible and hearsay evidence, red herring. These were words of the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya. It is my experience that whenever judges resort to insults on litigants and advocates, it is the result of a disturbed conscience. You have been here before. You have come from a judiciary that invested in threats and humiliation of litigants and advocates so that the country would not question them. That is the Supreme Court we witnessed in the presidential election case. We also have come from a judiciary that invested in intimidation. Today, the Supreme Court is threatening those talking against the judgment in the presidential petition. According to Madam Martha Koome, that judgment is not supposed to be discussed by anyone, anywhere. The court registrar has already issued threats on those who have criticized the despicable judgment of the court. In fact, Justice Isaac Lenaola is publicly accused of threatening one of the petitioners, Senator Okia Omtata, with the ruination over his stand on the court judgment. And he told Omtata that he is not an Emormor, which is the king of the Teso. And the Chief Justice has gone out to a funeral in her village and defended the judgment even before she gives out the detailed ruling. Supreme Court is now in politics. And she said that the ruling was inspired by God. I believe it was inspired by the devil. From our history as a country, we know this is an indication of a very disturbed conscience. It is the evidence of a court that sold its soul. The actions of the Chief Justice are clearly sycophantic. She has demeaned the dignity of the office of Chief Justice. In less than a year, she has destroyed what her predecessors achieved in 10 years. As if this is not bad enough, there's clearly a push by the executive to own the judiciary through illegal actions that amount to bribery. That is the reason for the rush to appoint 6 judges and to allocate money to the judiciary. That is the reason for the rush by the executive to allocate specific amount of money to the judiciary. Financial allocation to institutions and state agencies is done by Parliament based on a scrutiny of budget proposals presented by the institutions. In this case, the executive has given itself that role. It is a plain attempt to capture the judiciary through bribery. How else do you say, I'm going to give the judiciary every 3 years, I'm going to increase your budget by 3 billion shillings. How do you know how much the judiciary requires this year, next year, 10 years from now? Not that we oppose the judiciary being given funds, but it should be done through legally channeled institutions and at the request of the judiciary. As I stated throughout the campaign, we believe in the rule of law and democracy. We believe in the autonomy and independence of the judiciary and separation of powers between the 3 arms of government: the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. The presidential election petition should have been a victory for the rule of law and democracy in Kenya and across Africa. Our expectation has been that every Supreme Court petition and each Supreme Court decision strengthen the rule of law and deepen democracy in our country. Today, I have fears about where Come's ruling leaves our election and democracy now and in the future. And I'm told they're saying that, 2017, we did give them a ruling in their favor by dismissing, by nullifying election of our sitting president, and then they refused to run in the subsequent election which had been ordered by the judiciary. We did not refuse. We demanded of the IBC to rectify those mistakes which had led to the nullification of the elections. And they refused to do so. So us participating in the subsequent election would have meant doing the same thing, the same way, expecting different results. That is the reason why we refused to participate. And it was after a lot of soul searching, and the country knows the details. But this is how it starts. We know how it will end and what the cost of it will be. In the 1960s and 70s, it started as a war against specific individuals and communities. By the time it was full bloom, no Kenyan was safe from the state terror. It has started again. You have three urgent tasks that we must not fail in, and on which we must embark on immediately. One, save the judiciary, which is offering itself for state capture. Two, transform and reform the IBC and make it capable of conducting credible elections. Three, to stop the legislature from offering itself for state capture and have it play its oversight role over the government. Parliament must say no to attempts by a rogue executive to intimidate and profile civil servants and security agencies.